Yeah, so we're recording. You ready?
Ready. Tunaanza wapi?
Tumeanza.
Cool.
Yeah, have you been to Nairobi National Park before?
Yes, I've been here a couple of times actually.
Yeah.
When the first time I was here was when I was, I think, in primary school. We came for a school trip.
Yeah.
And then I think I came back here again in my early 20s. And then during COVID.
Yeah, during
when
everyone's
morning
closed.
game drive, yeah. I hope those hiccups ziache. Yeah. But I haven't been here in a while. I think maybe since 2 years.
Oh.
Yeah.
COVID really helped Nairobi National Park because when we had cessation of movement everywhere and clubs are not working, restaurants are not really opened, only delivery. These are the only place you could hang out.
Come and do something. It was crazy.
Yeah. So I saw your LinkedIn.
Yes. Oh my God, yeah.
And it's honestly the favorite, my favorite LinkedIn that I've seen.
Oh, for sure.
You've done it very creatively.
Yeah.
So you say you're a podcaster, creative director, copywriter, entrepreneur, and DJ.
Yes.
So I want to start with the podcasting part of it.
Yeah.
Mic Cheque.
Mic Cheque Podcast.
Honestly, that's one of the best names that I've heard of because it's Mic Cheque, Mic Cheque.
And it came in. It was a crazy idea that just came up randomly. Because like ever since Kitambo, I always wanted to be on radio, and share conversations and just make people laugh and dig deep into like things that affect people in their everyday lives and like just give a personal insight on my experiences and things that are happening around. But I never got a chance to get on radio. I think I went for a couple of auditions and all that. But now when you got into the digital age, podcasting was a thing. So I always thought about it, and I came up with the name Mic Cheque a long time ago. And then it was like a concept of this is the podcast that will pay me. So that's why the check was there. And I actually came up with the word Mic Cheque when I was looking at an actual check I was banking.
Nice.
And you see how the check imeandikwa pay Stephen Mwangi X amount, amount in numbers and whatever. So in my mind, I wanted it to be like play Mic Cheque Podcast, and then where you put amount in words, we write the episode title, and then where you put amount in Kenyan shillings, we write like the episode number, like 8 cents. That I was envisioning a poster like that, but then of course COVID, things slapped up. I didn't even know where to start from. And then I met Chaksi, I think in 2021. Oh,
so you guys just met recently?
We just met recently. I think it's just barely 2 years now of knowing each other. I met him.
And for context, he's one of your hosts.
Yes, for context, Chaksi. Shout out to Chaksi and Mara, my co-hosts on the podcast, and the entire crew. So I met him, and we started having conversations. Basically, they were just culture conversations. We were just chilling, hanging. We realized we liked the same things. I'd find him in places where I usually frequent. And then we just started having that conversation of the podcast. And he told me he tried podcasting a couple of times. Actually, he has a couple of shows on YouTube. And then he liked the concept of Mic Cheque and everything. So he told me we should go check out the studio and record a pilot. I think that was early last year. Yeah, so we went to the studio, we checked out the pilot. When we were doing the pilot, is the first time I met my other co-host, Mariah.
So Mariah and Chaksi were the friends first?
They were friends, and then they done a podcast called... it was called The Catalyst. It was just around the same things, culture, what's happening, what's popping, what can we discuss. So we recorded a pilot that ended up being our first episode. And then from there, it's been 81 episodes so far.
I think, honestly speaking, there are two. Yours is one of my favorite podcasts in Kenya.
Appreciate it.
Mic Cheque and Ikonini.
Ikonini. I love Ikonini.
Yeah, because for yours, I feel like you really give attention to the guest.
Yes.
And you really do your research to the guest. So far, you've done, I think, 81 episodes as of last night.
Yes.
In a span of a year and a half since last year.
Yes. I'd say a year and a half.
What's your process like when so for example you want to interview Bien or whoever? So what do you do? How do you reach out? And then the process of researching the guest, what to ask, what not to ask. How do you go about it?
So we started doing guests this year actually. So as of all of last year, we were just the three of us. Just discussing things that are happening around, a recap of the week, and
which is also one of my favorite things you guys do.
Yes. And you take a deep dive, and the essence of the show is it's this all the scoop served silly. Because it's serious issues, but we have like a humorous take to it.
Yeah, like that there's one of your guys, behind the scene guys, was explaining to you guys about the Ukraine war.
Yes.
And I find it interesting because he genuinely looks very young.
Yeah.
And it means because he's invested in the podcast, even though he's not a host, he kind of wants to do research so he can also come and contribute.
Yes.
To it.
That's the thing, yeah. So when we started doing guests this year, we wanted to give like our audience like a perspective of the guests that you've never seen before. Because we the breakdown of the guests that we've had so far, we've had some musicians, some culture guys, just entrepreneurs. Like the episode that's gonna drop, I think on Sunday, is an entrepreneur who owns like some of the biggest bars in Nairobi. We wanted to give guys like a scoop or like an in on people like you never get to access to, but you have questions. So we do that for you.
Yeah.
So for us, it's never just gonna be celebrities. I think even our next guest is gonna be a lawyer. We want to interview someone who's like in the content creation space. We just want to interview someone who's just cool and online. And the interview structure is giving you a perspective into this person's life that you'll never see before. For example, like musicians will always be on radio, TV, being asked about their music. When's your next album? Who do you want to collab with? How did you start music? What's next for you in the music scene? You'll get those answers everywhere but Mic Cheque. We want to know like, how many times do you poop? What's your biggest fear in life?
Yeah.
What was your first heartbreak? Like, we give you like an insight or a perspective like never seen before.
Yeah. Like fun questions.
Yes, and it has to feel like this is not an interview. It has to feel like you're hanging out with that person.
You're having a conversation.
Yeah, like it's like you're on a table with like your celebrity superstar, but then you're just having a conversation about how he doesn't like Madondo, or how he fixed a puncher once and he was like, never again. You know, it's just, you'll be like, what the hell this guy's talking about? But then you'll watch it till the end. Yeah.
So 81 episodes in, do you think podcasting has made you a better conversationalist? When you're having a conversation with somebody, like your friend, are there things that you've learned from podcasting that has made you a better person to talk to or converse with?
Yeah, I'd say it's actually helped me like build a lot of insight and actually take in a lot of stuff when I'm conversing with someone. Because normally, even the work that I do and the personality that I have, I'm very talkative, I'm very open and very expressive. But now what podcasting has taught me is there's a lot of insight that comes before you share your own opinions or thoughts on something. I think it's helped me know how to create a balance when I'm speaking to someone, know when to listen, know when to interject, know when to, and also like how I can read up or create insights beforehand. But it has also helped me a lot in coming up with things just on the spot. And trying to make the conversation pop.
And with your dynamic trio, Mariah and Chaxi.
Yes.
Because you did not know them.
Yeah.
How did you end up having that kind of chemistry? Is it natural or do you learn in the job?
I think it was natural because honestly, like I said, when we shot the pilot, and the pilot was just for us to check out like if the chemistry is right, if this thing has legs and everything. But we watched it, we were like, let's upload it and let's just go, and then next week let's meet and let's do it again, and then next week let's meet. I'd also say like I've known Chaxi a bit longer than Mariah, although it's just maybe by a few weeks, maybe months. And then now we're personal friends, the three of us. Like we hang out outside the podcast to check up on each other. So I think the friendship element has helped. The chemistry, honestly, I'd say it was God sent. Because it's not just every day you meet someone and you gel with for more than 80 hours on screen, you know. We also talk a lot, we banter a lot, we try and have conversations that lead us towards knowing how to gel with each other. Another thing that I'll give a shout out to is the fans and the guys who watch the podcast. I think the feedback has been really positive. We call them checkmates. I like how this Mic Cheque name just gave itself legs.
It became a thing.
The fans of the podcast are called checkmates.
Checkmates, that's clever.
Yeah, like even when I was coming up with the name Checkmates, we looked for a name for like 50 episodes in, we didn't have a name. And then one day we were just hanging out at a bar listening to live music, and then I just texted Mariah and Chaxi on the group. I was like, guys, these guys are our mates, they're our checkmates. And then we all just linked up at the bar and we just were like, this is what we're going with. So I think on-screen chemistry was God sent, to be honest. But it's really nice support from just the friendship, and that we are in similar industries where most of us we're creatives, we think the same, and we really push each other like on a personal level as well.
And having done podcasts, are there insights that you can give, especially people who kind of want to start? Things that people don't really think about. For example, for me, the thing that I have experienced myself with what I am doing is that you never structure it. Really, if you think about it, and if you do, the conversations you have, you always have to be wary of the time.
Yes.
So where to interject, where to ask a different question, where to ask to break down whatever they're saying and ask a question from what they say. So do you have any tips of podcasting that you can give?
Yeah, I don't want to sound like those entrepreneurs or rich people who are like, start with what you have, that camera phone, that whatever. I mean, a lot of the information of most things that people do right now, whether it's a passion project or for money, is online.
Yes.
I would say, like, sit down and ask yourself a couple of questions. One, you want to start a podcast? That's amazing. Two, it's not just about what do you want to talk about, how many episodes do you want to do, who do you want to interview, and all that. All that will come later. Just ask yourself what gap is your podcast going to fill in the market. We had a couple of insights, and it's just like business insights. Like you identify a gap and you find the best way to fill it that fulfills you and also fills the gap itself. So I won't tell people like and it's okay, you can start with your iPhone recording in your house and all that, but it's also asking yourself, is production value something that you really want to create? If you're liquid, by all means go on Amazon, buy all the gear and just start. But ideally asking yourself, like, how is my podcast going to be different from the next
from
podcast?
Everyone else.
Is it going to be just guys sitting and discussing who sits in front of the car, my mom or my wife? Is it going to be a stupid? Am I going to share my insights with the world? Am I going to tell people about what I do and sort of like create insights around it? Like, I think that's the biggest thing. It's just identifying what makes your podcast unique and how can you sustain that. Then once you begin, the keyword is just consistency.
That's one of the things that I struggle with, and I know most people struggle with. But if you make it routine, it's like starting a business. You will not get what you want the first year. Give yourself 2-3 years, but you have to be consistent. You have to show up every single day for that biashara. It's the same thing with podcasting. You have to show up. You have to constantly, every time you see something, you have to think of it as something that you can talk about
on the podcast itself. And then like when you're building this small community of your audience, it'll start with maybe your friends, your 1 or 2 people who you share your first link with. And then randomly people will just get on the podcast because they'll find you somewhere. Of course, you'll have a plan. You'll be like, okay, I'll be on this particular social media platforms. I'll put my links here and there. If you have money, put a billboard up. You'll have a marketing plan of how to make your podcast known. And then those are the guys now you'll just be sustaining conversations with, because they'll expect you. If you tell them, my episode drops every Wednesday, I guarantee you at least one person will be waiting for that episode. So it's your job not to disappoint.
It's like TV. You remember when we had episodes talking a specific day? Game of Thrones.
So imagine when the Game of Thrones ita air. So we normally move around our schedules to try and accommodate. Like Chaxi will not be on the next episode because he's traveled. He's out of the country. But we are gonna figure out how still me and Mariah and the guest will still shoot an episode, 2 episodes actually. Sometimes we move around our schedules. If you'll be away over the weekend, then we figure out which weekday can we shoot. A giraffe. So it's just, I think, have a plan of what you want your podcast to be. Create a niche for it, and then just start and be consistent, and then take the learnings and come back. Like you said, it's a biashara. It's like a biashara.
And do you have a favorite episode? Well, I have one for you, but I want to hear yours.
I think I'll say, let me check. My favorite episode for sure is the live audience recording that we did. The Beer District one, because we had like 100 checkmates in the audience. It was fantastic. But the one that I enjoy the most is our interview with Bien.
My favorite is the Cheeky one, the Bien as well,
and Suda.
Suda was also good. And then the ones that you guys just do by yourself. Those ones, do I have a favorite? I think this one's my favorite is the last one. Because sometimes we make like jokes and everything, and then I forget about it until I watch the episode. Like I think I called, was it Bahati? I called him Bwana Boy. On this, and I forgot about it until someone
tagged me on a post, I think, on Twitter this morning. It's like, Mwass, born boy. Yeah.
Do you guys ever have like political conversations?
Yeah. So we just say what's in our minds.
Yeah, without alienating your audience, because remember, people are very political.
Yes.
If you don't pick my side, you're my enemy.
That's actually and the honest thing we say with the podcast is that we want to be as authentic as possible.
Yeah.
That's why it's raw and it's uncut. Like we don't edit and cut out parts. When we roll until we cut, it just goes up as is. Maybe we'll snip out some things that maybe just came out
at the very
yeah. But we've had even people stop watching the podcast because of our own personal opinions on like religion. Because like you guys, you keep saying you're not religious. We are very religious. So yeah, we had a big fan of ours. I won't mention his name. We actually hosted him on the podcast, and he said he stopped watching the podcast for like I think 8 episodes. Because like every time I come on here, you guys are just talking about how you're atheist and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm not comfortable with that. Yeah.
So this is a male giraffe. Male giraffes have darker.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Their spots are darker than female.
That was what I was gonna ask next. Like, how did you know it was a male?
Yeah.
Let me just take a picture. Why is he alone?
I think usually males don't really group like females, but then I think he looks a bit older. Older males don't really. He just themselves.
Moves around, eats, sleeps alone.
Yeah.
Oh man, sorry man.
Oh, and then mates, and then just goes alone. Yeah. So
crazy,
apart from podcasting, you're a creative director.
Do I close this?
Yeah, you can. Okay. It's fine.
Okay.
You're a creative director.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you. You've seen what is happening in Hollywood, right? With the strikes, yes, with the actors and the writers because of the streaming revenue. That Netflix and these other streaming services get, but they don't share with the actors and the writers. And I think personally, coming back to Kenya, with the creative sector, most guys who are in the creative industry, like us, influencers, graphic designers, videographers, photographers, all these people. One thing that we lack is that unionship. Where because most of 90% of all of us complain that either we are not getting paid on time. There's no structure to how we do the work. You're given a job you do, and then you only want to edit twice, but then they make you make so many edits and then go with the first thing. So they waste your time. They're not paying you on time. Do you think us having like a union would be a really good thing? Where it protects you from being used by organizations, and them not them not just deciding tutamlipa next week or next month.
I think unionizing is definitely a great idea, just to protect the interest, especially with the smaller or the newer creatives, because like once you're an established brand name, for example, it's kind of easier for you to navigate those conversations because you're a respected name. I saw a tweet yesterday, I don't know which actor it was, but he said, if you know that actor by name, they're going to be okay in Hollywood. If you know them just by their face, those actors you just know, like, this guy's been in like 20 things, I never know his name, but I've seen him in ABCD. Those are the ones that are struggling. So I think unionizing really helps, because of course your Hollywood Oscar winning Denzel Washington is gonna be fine, whether he's in a union or not. He's gonna speak his mind. He's gonna say, "Fuck, am I allowed to curse?"
No, you can curse. You can curse.
Yeah, he's gonna say like, "This is BS. This is whatever." But I think unionizing protects the newer and smaller creatives, because also, like, you see, that's where the point of either getting demoralized or either getting really inspired to stay in the industry. Because if you're like a 21-year-old videographer and you're really good at your job, and maybe you're also in law school, and you're juggling, should I keep the camera or the constitution? And then you try this industry, it's just not just to you, you don't get paid and everything, then you end up quitting, or maybe structuring yourself in a way that you didn't want to. I feel like unionizing is important, not just because of like payment issues, delayed payments and all that, even stuff like respect, and having things like strictly cut out, like if I give you a piece of work, how many times should I amend it before I charge you more?
Exactly.
Because it's okay, like I can edit for your video, like I don't like this cut, do this, do that. I go back to the drawing board, I do it. I come back, you tell me 7 times, and maybe in the union it states 3 reverts for every creative delivered under this and this.
Yeah, and also even with payments, it will help know the tiers that you're in.
Yeah.
So as an influencer, when you're negotiating, you know, this is my tier, this is the level of work that I can do, and this is the amount of money that I can accept based on what the union has said. My rate card is based on the average rate card that the union has said. So then it's easier for you to negotiate, because most people get shortchanged. You do so much, get paid very little. And yeah, unionizing is a really good. What other ways can we do as creatives, or you know, the government can do? I don't know. To help creatives in Kenya.
Okay, I think the government conversation is really, because you see, like, for example, what's happening in the music industry.
Yeah.
You have MCSK, you have Press, you have what's the other one called? All those like I don't know what to call them. All those
copyrights.
Copyright Society of Kenya. All those bodies that should govern how musicians like earn their coin, or like how their copyrights are protected. They're very mismanaged.
That's
so I think the first thing, even if we create like a union for creatives, or like bodies that govern how creative work is seen and respected, it has to be really nicely managed. And I think the stakeholders within it, whether they come from government, will have, of course, government representation, representation from the creatives themselves. Like, they can appoint a few people there. You'd have to have like a legal framework that also protects both the interests of the creatives, the government, and also the clients, because they're the ones who are spending the money. In a way that you have something that protects on both sides. If you don't deliver work, also what happens next?
Yeah.
And I think it's just having a body or a platform that governs it, and then having it really nicely managed. And also the other thing, very, very transparent.
Yeah.
Like, if you're talking, if there's a minimum wage, or if like there's a minimum rate card that a creative can charge. I saw someone with 100,000 followers on Twitter charging 1,000 bob for a tweet.
1,000 bob?
Yeah, 1,000 shillings. For your tweet to be seen by over maybe 20,000 people, if that's the the engagement rate or whatever. So I think also that, but also as creatives, we need to stop undercutting ourselves.
Yes.
You know, because someone will always say this guy can do it cheaper, and there'll always be a guy who will do it cheaper. So it's like, if I want to charge 100K for a piece of work, but you undercut me and you tell clients, what's your budget? 60, I'll do 60. Then client finds another guy who will do it for 30 or 20. Yeah. And then we'll never grow.
That's true. Yeah. That's one of the biggest challenges. And there's this consumer protection society thing that we have that I hardly hear them talk about anything. It's a government body. And most problems in Kenya can be solved well if there's consumer protection.
Yes. But I understand also life is tough. Like, sometimes, you know, like, kama umefungiwa nyumba, and someone is offering you 10K to edit a video, and you're like, I can do this in 2 hours and pay my rent.
Yeah.
I understand, but also, like you say, like, it's one of those conversations that's really tough to have. And it's on both sides of the scale.
Yeah.
Because there are also guys who like have sat in positions where they're severely overpaid to do nothing.
That's true.
Yeah. So it's just, so everyone looks at the industry, they're like, I can't afford this service. Because the last time I asked, I was told it's 2 million bob for an Instagram reel. But there's someone who's like, I can do that reel for 200K, which is maybe fair for my following and my reach and my quality of work. So that even the guys who have the money to spend on this kind of content or this creative industry, they don't feel like they're also locked out. Because guys are like, oh, you think it's easy being a creative? You think it's easy shooting or writing or singing or doing whatever? Yeah. This is a carcass. Which is my topic. It's long.
I've seen another giraffe there.
Oh, baby. That's a female, huh?
I think this is a female, and then there's a small baby there. You can see.
Oh, I can see it. Actually, there's another girl. There's like 3 of them.
Yeah, so it's maybe one family.
Oh.
And even the dude that we saw, maybe he's part of that family, but yeah,
okay.
So karibu sana.
You know the thing about the thing about the national park, every person who I've interacted with who's come from like another country to here, usually they think we go here all the time.
Yeah.
Because they're always like, you're the only city in the world with a national park. It's 20 minutes from everyone, so you go there a lot. Like, 4 times in my life.
That's one of the biggest challenges that the Kenya Tourism Board and also the ministry from way back, one of the things that they did, they marketed Kenya parks as a touristic, international tourism type of thing.
Yeah.
So currently they're trying to do the domestic thing, but that's why when someone comes here and ashindwa, mbona huendi? And when they're in their countries, their parks are more like hiking parks.
Yeah.
Where you can just walk within, and there are animals like bears and you know. But
they want to go on safari. They're like, you've never been on safari.
Yeah, exactly.
I have been on the internet.
Yeah, but they do it very often. They go for hikes very often, so they're used to that. So they're wondering, mimi ningekuwa niishi huko, I'd be going everywhere.
Would have been different.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you, being a copywriter, is it as hard as it sounds?
Yo, wait. Let me tell you, there are days you wake up and you just... Because here's the thing about being a copywriter. It's a lot of things start with you.
Yes.
Especially, like, things can't move until maybe you move. Let's say you get a creative brief. You're working with like a full team. God has blessed you with a full team, which rarely happens. And then you get the brief. You guys brainstorm. You go and sit by yourself. You look at some insights, some research. Kind of think of how you're going to design your language around the tone of the brand and everything. Come up with a few creative expressions or like ideas. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then maybe pitch it to your senior, who's maybe your creative director or maybe just your team. And then they align on, like, let's say this direction is strong, this one is also strong, let's pursue them. And then you have to go back and sit and now develop it further. Put it that way. Yeah. Then you have to go and sit down and develop it further. And then now figure out how you're going to bring it out, like, as from a visual perspective.
Yeah.
Work with your art director. What's a poster going to look like? What's a video going to look like?
Yeah.
Then you have to, and the advertising world is really expansive right now. I envy those guys who used to do TV, print, billboards, and that's it. Back in the day, you know, if you have a TV video, you have a radio script.
Yeah.
You have your print ads, and then you have your billboards, and sometimes your print ads are your billboards.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's it.
But now, looking at all the platforms we have, someone will ask you, like, what's a programmatic ad gonna look like? How can you target Brian, who's like this guy who loves game drives, and he's 29 and he loves drinking coffee and he does ABCD, you know? Your idea can also be like one channel first. You're like, this is a digital idea, so you're probably not gonna see it on any newspaper and all that. So yeah, long and short of it, being a copywriter is sometimes difficult, but I'll also say it's also really, really fun.
Yeah.
Like when the brief is fun, when the idea is there, when things just work, when you see results, like even before you get to the end of the campaign, I think it's really, really fun.
I always see it's like rap. Not everyone can do it.
Yeah.
And the people that think they can do it, they really can't do it.
Yeah, there's that. Hey, my God. Sometimes we've seen this, like, hey, can you mention brands here?
Yeah,
did you see that Mchelehe billboard?
Which one?
The Mchelehe, it's not a sherehe, it's a Mchelehe. I think it was a rice brand.
No, I did not.
So I think it was December. It was trending. Everyone was putting it online.
Yeah.
And then it was written, it's not a sherehe, I think, because it's December. It's a Mchelehe.
Oh, God.
And every copywriter, I think, who saw that just was cringed. Because here's the thing, if you ask any creative in Nairobi or even outside, you have work that makes it out that you're really embarrassed about because too many hands in the pot tweaked it in a way. Maybe client, maybe your boss, maybe your client's boss's boss, the CEO of that company just said, what if you write Mchelehe? And you're like, okay, let's go with that. And there's also work that you're really proud of because it went untouched or it really just went as you pictured it. Maybe you wrote something and then it just came out exactly how you pictured it on TV, on radio, on digital. Yeah. So it's, yeah.
So where do you draw the line, the fine line between creativity and commercial viability? Because, as you said, with that Mchelehe, if you think about it, in as much as it was a really bad, weird name, they will say that based on the stats of us trending and
no,
all
publicity
that,
is good publicity. Yeah, like our logo is everywhere.
Yeah, so we go to the people,
yeah,
even though it's not how we wanted it
yeah.
to go, but they will justify it and say, look at analytics and data and interactions and all that. So how as a copywriter, do you ever think about it? I'm like, okay, me, I'm too tired to be creative.
Yeah.
Let me create something that will just be commercially viable.
Yeah. So me, on a personal note, I value creativity and and the value that it helps a brand achieve, more than something that will happen just as a spoof.
Yeah.
So that's it's a great conversation because okay, good publicity is nice. A lot of publicity is nice. You're trying to land eyeballs on your brand. Sometimes it doesn't happen how you planned, but I would always favor, like, if I plan something and it works out the way I thought of it, the way we discussed it, the way it was mapped out, I'll always value that over just something happening as a fluke before something didn't go right. But ideally, I wouldn't say like it's not good publicity. My question would be, is being on everyone's mouth your biggest achievement, or is moving things on the shelf what you value more? So it's always going to be that conversation. But things that go out just as planned, best.
Yeah. I see there's an ostrich there.
What?
I think it's eating.
Put his head down, yeah. I've seen it. I had the black ones are the males.
Yes.
And then the females are what color?
Gray.
Gray.
In birds, the males are the prettiest.
Yeah. And then they do the most.
Yes, to impress.
I think birds, you need to realize you're the prize.
Yeah.
I always see videos of CG, birds dancing, CG, creating
and they
CG
get
monuments.
They make what do they call the nests? Like a really beautiful nest, and then she refuses, and then she goes to someone who just made like a shitty nest.
Yeah, it's the same as this. You come at two humans. We suffer the same fate. Yeah.
There's this quote that I saw on your LinkedIn that I really like. You said, let me get it. If you ask what if enough times, your next idea will be braver than your last.
Yes.
And I agree with you, but what do you mean by brave?
So you see, like, the thing about creativity is it's a boundless, like, I don't even want to call it a thing.
Yeah.
It's I think of, let me talk about copywriting. I think of it as both an art and a science, because obviously there's a know-how around it, or a work. There's obviously like things that you do in a structural level, and there are rules to it. So I'd say that's the science bit of it. Like, there are things you can't ignore. This has to work this way, this has to go this way. And it's an art because you can take all that and make it your own in a certain type of way. You see, for example, I saw a billboard once. It was 3 billboards in a row that had one complete sentence, which I found really intriguing. Instead of putting one billboard here with the whole sentence, they put it in 3 billboards. Expensive, but intriguing. So that's why the mantra for asking what if actually came from the younger years in my copywriting career. And I was always in brainstorms, and I was asking the stupidest questions. And then sometimes someone is like, hold up, because you're like, what if we do a billboard, but instead of doing this, we do that?
Do that, yeah.
Yeah. What if instead of the TV, we do this and do that? I shot some ad for a furniture brand just, I think, 2 months ago, and it's usually not the best thing to do to change the script on set.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful that we had a creative director who allowed us to do that, because we were still asking what if when the camera was rolling.
Yeah.
So you see how he pictured something, you see how the set is planned, the actors are rolling, and then you're like, hold up, what if instead of this we do that?
Yeah.
So the mantra for me, it's not even just about asking that specific question. It's about how do you turn good into great. Because sometimes you can have a really good idea, but it's not the greatest idea.
Yeah.
Or like you can have a really decent idea, but how do you make it award-winning?
Yeah.
So for me, the bravery of it comes from the braver you are with your ideas, the more memorable they'll be. Because sometimes you sit in a boardroom and you're trying to talk about ideas. You have a really, I call them brave ideas because sometimes they get rejected a lot. Yeah, it's like you say something like, oh my God, this is KWS. What if we put, we took like 3 animals and put them in suits? And then we put them in a boardroom and do a photo shoot. I'm not saying that's the best idea, but you see, like, you go talk to Gava with an idea like that, you're thrown out.
Yeah.
But like, if you have someone who listens and someone who's on the other side of the table, and they're just as brave as you, or they want to take chances or experiment with you, then it's like, go ahead, let's see where it goes. Because it also inspires the next clients.
That's true.
Because you'll always see when Super Bowl is trending, every creative will be like, we want like a Super Bowl ad like that, like that, like that. And it's like,
there's that fear, or there are 2 things here.
Yeah.
There is one, as a creator, there's that fear of rejection.
Yes.
because you have so many ideas, and just pick one. Don't reject. And if you have there's a specific one that you really like and they reject it, it makes you feel like maybe it's not that good.
Yeah.
But then you have to overcome that. And then there's the understanding that it's not the idea that it's wrong, it's the person that I'm working with.
Yeah.
They're not really selling the idea, so I have to listen to them what they want, and then make my idea look like their idea.
And I think that comes with age and experience, because I've seen it happen sometimes where I don't want to call it like manipulating or twisting the client's mind to think like this is their brilliant idea, but I've seen how let's say guys who've been in the game for 20 years, there's a way they know how to talk to the guy who's signing the check to figure out how the idea still goes through, regardless of whether it was shot down in the beginning or what happens. But I think it's just in an ideal scenario, it's always a conversation, and then it's always showing like it worked in this market, or this guy's got close, or maybe it didn't work here because they didn't do this. And then also just taking that chance and figuring out how to tell someone, because the conversation will always be sour. You want to do this crazy idea, but I'm not paying 20 million for it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, or for you it's just like, oh my god, it didn't work. For me, it's like I still need to go and do a report to my boss and tell them how 20 million just went up in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's always a money conversation or like a brand conversation. Remember when Pepsi had the Kardashian in the ad?
Yes.
Yeah. So and then your sales plummets.
Yeah.
Your shareholding, what is it? Share price
goes
plummets.
down.
Yeah. I've seen now recently there's a beer in the States.
Yeah, Bud Light.
Bud Light, yeah.
Yes.
Bud Light.
Yeah.
I don't know. They partnered with a transgender influencer.
Yes.
And then they lost half their audience. It's always key decisions like
and
that.
And they keep losing. Even now, I think their shares just keep going down. Everything.
And you see, like the guys who are behind the marketing team, I think now they have like a lot of questions to answer. Because it's like, as a brand, what did you prioritize? Did you prioritize being in this space where you're a social activist? Or did you prioritize being in this space where we want to sell a beverage? And we have these clients who've been drinking this beverage for like decades. And how do we appeal to them? What are the things that interest them? Do you want to make a social impact? That's what I was saying. Like, if that was your KPI, making a social impact and then losing money and shareholding, then maybe you've ticked a box.
In that situation, as a marketer, what do you do?
Oh, it's too late. It's crazy. I would say like my experience level does not allow me to even comment on that. Because I don't know what I would do in that situation. I'd probably get fired if you're on the marketing team.
Assuming you are not on that team, right? And then now they're trying to reverse what they've done and they've hired you. What would you do?
First of all, I'd ask for a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because I know it's gonna be a lot of stress.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd do. Like, I think what they're doing is what I do, but it's not working. They're doing offers, pricing and all that.
Yeah.
But now I think you'd have to like look at your audience, because it's older guys who drink beer, manly men thumping their chest.
Yeah.
So I think you'd have to maybe create the manliest ad ever seen.
Yeah.
For like a beer commercial. But it's a tough predicament where they are. And I don't envy anyone who has to open an email with that conversation.
Yeah.
But I'll just wait and see. It's like, I had a former boss who used to tell me like he'd never take a job to rebrand Nike. Because it doesn't matter if they give even $1 billion. What are you gonna do? How are you gonna rebrand the swoosh?
Yeah.
How are you gonna rebrand Apple?
Yeah.
There are brands that you're just like, I would love to work with you guys, but certain briefs I wouldn't pick up.
What do you think of what Elon is doing with X on Twitter?
I think Elon is just a billionaire who's just having fun with his money and influence.
Yeah.
I've seen conversations about he wants to make Twitter X now a payment platform.
Yeah.
He's trying to. I don't like that the conversation is very loose. It's, we're gonna be the next big thing in payments. What does that mean? We're gonna connect global citizens to financial freedom. What does that mean? We're going to be a communication channel that's boundless and what does that mean? What's the product? Because when he had PayPal, it was very direct. It was very straightforward. Send money across the world using this platform. He still had X.com at the time. So my question is, if he has all the experience with PayPal, all the experience with business, you've gone to space, you've made an electric car, you of course understand how business works. How are you not telling us in a very simple way?
Yeah. Oh, it's a white rhino.
I've never seen one of these. How many of these are left?
So in Nairobi National Park, we have about, and it has a baby. Look at it. So in Nairobi National Park, we have about close to 100 of black rhinos.
Okay.
And then white, we have about 20.
Oh, just 20?
Yeah, there are very few in Nairobi. Nairobi National Park has the most black rhinos.
Oh, that's globally, am I just in Kenya?
Just in Kenya. In Kenya, we have a considerable amount. Poaching has really gone down over the past few years.
Thankfully.
Right now, the biggest challenge is human-wildlife conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but poaching imeenda kidogo. So back to Twitter.
Mm-hmm. To X. We were in conversations this week with doing Twitter reports, and then everyone's like, I'm gonna call it Twitter or X. I told guys, just call it Twitter.
So you think because he's a billionaire and he has big influence, he's one of those few people who can do this and it might actually work, as compared to Bud Light, for example, trying to change people's minds with drinking beer. So because I think, personally, I think Bud Light, the only way they can get out of this thing is just admit what they did. The CEO just comes out and like, what we did, we shouldn't have done that. We should have consulted you, the customer, and we apologize for that. We are not taking any sides anymore. Personally, I do believe in trans rights as human rights, but I'm not going to try and commercialize it. That's it.
That was the problem, actually, because they're not coming in at you to try and help an agenda. It was just, we're trying to sell more beer. To more people. First of all, you're selling to men, right? But now you want to try and show that even women who want to become men can also drink beer. But people know that, right? People know, and there's brands who've done it really well. Heineken, marketing team, one of my favorites, to reference and talk about. They had this ad where it was a guy and a babe going into a bar, and then they asked for a Heineken and a cocktail. And all the waitresses or waiters or service staff, they used to bring the cocktail to the guy, to the babe, and the Heineken to the guy, and then they just switch up. They were just, every time, it was like, how it's an honest mistake, but every time it was just a bunch of 10 couples. They go into a bar, order a Heineken and let's say a mojito, and then the waitress will always come and give the mojito to the babe and the Heineken to the guy. Then the whole ad was just them switching.
That's clever.
There's always ways you can say women can drink beer. There's always ways you can say we are in this conversation of the LGBTQ conversation as a brand, but it has to be very it has to come from your brand purpose and your brand values. We want to support this in this way, but if you're trying to sell more beer, then you end up where they ended up. When Pepsi said we care about police brutality, with a Kardashian giving it was, I don't know how these ideas get all the way to the top,
and they actually work.
In
the sense of they pay the person to do it and they do it, and I'm like, you guys are you're not consulting anyone. What's going on?
One of the things I like about advertising, I learned earlier on from some of my mentors or guys I've worked with, and there's one who was saying fall in love with the problem, find out what the problem is, fall in love with it, then you'll find a way of always creating work that works for that particular problem. An example would be Diesel, the jeans brand. It's a clothing brand globally. They realized people used to come to their shop, buy clothes, keep the tags, and then go for a party, look fly, and then on Monday you return it. So you've bought a shirt for $100, but you have 12 shirts, because every Sunday you're here returning, taking another, returning, taking another. So they just had this campaign where they got all these big names, Kimani, Proki, all those people, and they did shoots with them. They were wearing Diesel clothes and all the tags were out. So they told guys, rock your tags. It's now cool to return clothes.
So they owned it.
Don't hide your tag at the party because you don't want people to know you didn't really buy that.
That's clever.
They told people, own it. They said, rock it as fly as you can before you return it or something. And it's okay to return. And you see, their sales went up. Guys were like, no, it's cool. Guys were showing up to parties with their tags out, even for other brands. And then guys are like, you don't own that shirt. They're like, yeah, but I look fly in it. Nicki Minaj was performing on stage with clothes with tags out. They're like, even celebrities don't buy clothes. It's crazy. I feel like advertising, that's why I said, the braver you are with your ideas, I think the more impact you create, not only to that brand itself, but you also become a case study to the next brief for someone else who might not even know you, I'm here talking about work that I don't even know these creative directors personally, but I just love the work they do.
It's so strange that they are not running away.
Yeah. What animal is this?
It's a species of an antelope. I can't remember the name, but it looks like if a wildebeest and an antelope had sex.
Okay. Yeah, because I was gonna say they look a bit weird. The horns.
Yeah, but then strangely, I think there's a predator close by.
Oh, okay.
Because that's why they look very alert.
Yeah.
But they're not running because they're trying to maybe I guess assess where the predator is.
Okay.
So like a lion.
Ooh, I forget there are lions and stuff in this place.
Okay. The Kenyan. Tell me because I don't really know the Kenyan advertising space that well. Do you mind like telling me how it is and what happens and some ideas of things that maybe they can do to improve it?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the advertising scene in Kenya, I'll speak about mostly Nairobi because I haven't worked out of Nairobi for a while.
Yeah.
It's basically set up. Now it's crazy. Now there's like 2,000 million agencies. Initially, when I came into the space and when I was reading about it maybe a decade ago, it was like there were some big players here and there. Companies that were brought in as subsidiaries to like international networks, and they used to probably have the biggest clients in the game. So ideally, just to break it down as simple as possible, agency is the guys who do the work. Within agency, you have the creative department that has writers and art guys and graphic designers. Everyone who does creative work, videographers, photographers, all that. On the other hand, you have strategists. These are the guys who like channel where the brand is gonna go.
Okay.
They sit down and they say, Nairobi National Park, this is the biggest problem. This is where we want to position it. This is the steps you want to do. What does the next 3 months look like? 6 months, 5 years, 10 years? And then how do you create like a creative idea around it? And then of course you have your kawaida people like the managers, MDs, GMs, business unit heads, of course legal, HR and everything else.
Yeah.
And then on the other side now you have clients. So clients can be anyone that has a logo, any brand, big or small, that's trying to do something. Within the agencies now, they've broken apart into several, because you'll find like the biggest brands in the country have like even 10 or 15 agencies at their disposal.
Wow.
Yeah. Like one of them does strictly PR. The other one does strictly creative work. The other one does digital work. There's another one that does, what do you call it? This activations and on-ground below-the-line marketing.
Yeah.
So the way it's structured, I don't know what this line in advertising is, but there's above the line and below the line. Above the line being the creative work that you see on billboards, TV and all that. Below the line being the channels like, we're sponsoring an event and we have an activation or like a tryout or all that.
Like a marathon or...
Yeah. So right now I'd say there's probably every agency you can imagine. There's someone maybe who just does data for like a company like ABL or Safaricom. There's someone else who's maybe just does perception management for like a brand like LG. They're just like, how are we viewed in Africa? Do people think of us as reliable, as affordable, as, you know?
Yeah.
There's someone who does the creative work who'll come up with life's good. There's someone who will do like email marketing. So I'd say the bigger the brand and the bigger the marketing spend or the budget they have, the more availability they have towards like sort of these consultants, creatives or agencies that will put together their marketing things to work.
Do you have, is there a Kenyan brand that you think has done really well in advertising in Kenya?
Advertising in Kenya? The brands that I've worked with?
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Who do I look at and marvel? I'm trying to think. It's been a minute since I've seen like something like jaw-dropping. I'm not saying there's no good work.
But, okay.
Yeah, but you see like the time they put the white Rhino on Tinder. Remember that?
White Rhino on Tinder?
Yeah, I think some of the most awarded work in Kenya.
Yeah.
Was they said the most eligible bachelor when it was only Sudan, the one Rhino that was remaining. So they put it on Tinder. And when you swipe right,
they open an account for
for the world's most eligible bachelor, because he's the last one.
I didn't see.
Yeah, and then when you swipe right, instead of matching, it's a donation.
That
was crazy.
That's
the kind of stuff like I've missed. I've seen works that are very like logical and well put together. They might not be the most creatively appealing work, but you can see like the thought that went into it. Yeah. Like, you know how like, for example, if you're trying to talk to guys in the bundos, like I'm not even saying shags, like guys who there's no schools, there's no dispensaries, there's nothing, like Maturkana, deep massive. They don't speak Swahili, they have no idea what's going on in Nairobi, they've never left the place. How do you communicate to guys like those?
How do you do it?
There's people who figured out ways. One of the campaigns I really liked recently from Proto Tanks is they realized in some remote place in Kenya, the women, there was a lot of malnutrition. But the kids, every woman there had a shuka to carry the kid. So they put the communication on the shukas and distributed them. They're called lessons.
Yeah, that's clever.
Remember, if your kid is 6 months old, they need to be this big. So they just draw it like 6 months old. So when you're putting your kid to funga them, you're like, hey, my toy is small. Let me go to a dispensary.
That's clever.
So it's usually just things like those. And I'm not yet there, like from a creative level.
Yeah.
I think I've done some really successful work, but I'm always looking for like something that would
be better ways to
something that would be groundbreaking or jaw-dropping. You see, like how I'm telling you that, and you're like, oh, that's dope.
I would have never thought of that.
Definitely, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because so for example, I'm trying to think of one that I have seen, and I'm like, wow, okay. Most of them that I've seen are usually international.
Yes.
Ads in Kenya. Well, when I see an ad, I always think of the technicality of it.
Okay.
So if it's a video, for example, there's one that Tusker did that was really nice, where they were traveling in different parts and they were doing something really nice. And I was like, the video itself, it's edited by one of my favorite influence or video editors, Dan Mays, he's South African.
Okay.
And I thought that was really good. And then I got an idea from that, but I never really got to do it. My idea was, what if I did videos for EABL, where I travel to different counties or even different countries and get a beer. So let's say like I leave Nairobi, go to Kisumu, have a beer, and then leave Kisumu, maybe go to Uganda, Entebbe, have another different beer, and then that kind of experience.
Yeah.
But then I never got to do it.
Yeah. Just keep asking yourself, what if? It'll come. I think it's a great idea.
And also I liked what they were doing with TPF, Tusker Project Fame.
Yes.
Where they created a show out of because then you can market yourself as much as possible.
Yeah.
If you have a new product during the show, you can easily. But Kenyan brands stopped doing that, sponsoring TV shows.
No, okay, maybe because TV is a medium that's not as big as digital right now, but you'd still find the same concept still going on. Tusker still had this thing called the Next Stars. It was based off, they're still working with musicians a lot to try and bring out upcoming talent and work with the rising stars. They just signed a deal with Wakadinali. They're still in the music space. They even guys who won like 1 million bob, 900k, 500k, just because they came and showcased their music, and it was amazing.
There's a female Ostriches. Yeah, they're definitely uglier than them.
Oh, that's me. Now what's happening? Jesus.
Yeah, it's pooping.
Oh, it's pooping, yeah. I'm always in awe of how fast these things can run.
Yeah. They have big hind legs and they're very strong.
I think there's a time I had an ostrich egg.
They're mini.
Yeah. Oh, there's a watering hole there. Where does the water come from? Just from the ground?
But also from rain, because at some point it usually rains once in a while. But then also they're trying to put water pans because of the drought.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a group of females.
I'm a fan of how Safaricom did Eliud Kipchoge.
Yes.
The Eliud campaign of changing M-Pesa to Eliud. Remember that?
I remember, yes.
And Safaricom said we are changing our M-Pesa logo.
Yeah, and they changed it.
When he was doing the sub 2-hour marathon. Was that what?
Was it after he won the Ineos thing?
Yeah, it was during the Ineos thing actually.
Yeah.
They changed M-Pesa to Eliud. I think that was a fire campaign. What I've seen with Kenyan brands and sports, mostly it's just betting companies getting into the football scene and all that.
Yeah.
What I'd say, I think, visit Rwanda, and is it Arsenal?
Yes, and PSG as well.
Yes, it's an amazing idea because you have the global audience and it's just a very simple idea. Just visit Rwanda.
Yeah.
And they have nice marketing collateral. It's just like the way the Visit Dubai campaign, which is fire.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say I'd put like Kenyan brands on the international scale like that if it's not like on a tourism level.
Yeah.
Because ideally, if tomorrow Safcom sponsors Manu and you have Safaricom on the Manchester t-shirt, it will really not do much for them because they're just in Kenya and Ethiopia.
Okay.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So someone in London, someone in Turkey, someone in Uzbekistan will see and know Safaricom. But the return on investment would not be the best.
Sense, yeah.
So I'd say if we had a Kenya, if you think about the biggest Kenyan brands, your ABLs, your Equities, your Safaricoms, there's things they can do and they are doing on a local level. Tusker have a whole football team, Tusker FC, that I think won the Premier League, the Kenyan Premier League. Equity have this amazing ads and run like a regional, nice creative. Safaricom, of course, you'll always see a Safaricom billboard, every 10 minutes if you're on the road.
Yeah.
So I think on an international level, it's a conversation of how do you bring guys to the country. And maybe for us, the only thing that would work would be KWS.
Yes,
like
Kenya Tourism Board.
Yes, or the Kenya Tourism Board.
Yeah. That would be dope. Imagine having like a Kenyan thing on F1, one of the cars.
Oof. That would be fire. That would be fire.
And then just to piss off everyone, you do it on Red Bull.
Actually, me, I'd be pissed off. But I'll be happy to work on their accounts. Yeah. I'll be happy to be like KWS introduces Game Drive.
Game Drive.
And Game Drive is a platform where Verstappen and Scuba talk, like virtually drive you on a safari.
That would be so
like
dope.
That, yeah.
Like Verstappen doing a safari with an F1 car.
Yes. That would be fire. Because you've seen what he's doing with Heineken now.
Yeah.
That's fire as well.
That would be dope. But it would piss off so many Kenyans.
Yeah. But me, I'm always happy, like sometimes you're probably not the biggest Messi fan, maybe not the biggest Cristiano fan.
Yeah.
But from a creative perspective, you see how the brand endorsements and how they're working, and you're like, that's actually fire.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
You did engineering in school, yeah?
Yes. Construction was meaning to Mjengo. I started out with architecture, landscape architecture, and then went to construction. Did a lot of
engineering.
Stuff. Yeah.
When did you realize, you know what, I'll never use this in, like you're not really, you're changing career?
When I was in third year, actually. So, but at that point, it was too late to quit,
Yeah.
And then I also have an African dad. That conversation from dropping out.
Yes, that is what I really want.
It's not even welcome. So let me give you an interesting story. I wrote my first ad when I was 16.
Nice.
In high school.
Yeah.
And I've always just loved writing, whether it was like compositions. Zangu, the teacher used to mark them the first one because they're like, this guy is going to write some nice whatevers. I was getting 36/40 and I complained because I'm like, yo, I need to get 40/40. Anyway, so I read this article when I'm in Form 2. It was a sex sales article. I think it was referencing like, I can't remember the car brand name, but they were doing second-hand cars. And then they were putting really sexy models next to those cars. And the copy was, you're not the first, but you'll still enjoy the ride. So it was, then I was getting intrigued and I was like, hey, this is some nice
creativity.
Yeah, this is nice. So I read about the article and then I figured sex sales was only a thing for like using babes on ads. I asked myself, what if we use guys on these ads? What would an ad look like? So I remember going on my computer and piecing together like I think I was using Word Art or Paint. And then I put like this buff guy who was shirtless next to a wall. And then I put a cement bag at the side. And then the copy was, I can't remember. The copy was, I take my body to the gym and my walls to the experts. And then opposite durability, strength, and whatever. It was nonsense, to be honest, looking back.
Yeah.
But I sent it to I was going online and looking for info@savannahcement.com. I sent it. Info@CG Cement. I sent it. But then, like, the dream just died, and then I did my KCSE. Ended up in the School of Architecture and Building Sciences in JKUAT. So writing had ended up there. I really wanted to tell my dad I want to do something like in writing or creativity, but he wouldn't have it at the time.
Yeah, he first had to...
Yeah. So fast forward to, I'm in third year. I've started doing digital marketing and influencing work and all that. And I was working for some mall as an influencer for Father's Day. And I remember meeting the guy who gave me my first job ever in copywriting, Akil Ahmed. Shout out to him. I was working with him, and then I saw an ad for Nakumat. And it was the Kawaida Happy Father's Day, where a toy is thrown in the air by a dad and then Happy Father's Day. So I tell him, hey, these ads all look the same. If I remove this logo, I put another logo, it's going to be the same ad.
Thing.
So he asked me, what would you have done different? And I'm like, because it's Nakumat, I'd have just taken that big trolley and that small trolley and put them next to each other and then write Happy Father's Day, because it would convey the message.
Yeah.
And then it's like, that's actually a cool idea. You should be a copywriter. That time I didn't even know what a copywriter was. That was the first time I had that word in my life.
Yeah.
And then I went back to Juja, get my room, put my modem in my computer, loaded bundles. You remember those days?
Yeah.
And then I just searched copywriter. Kwanza I misspelled it.
Yeah.
Copywriter law. And then I read copywriter. Yeah. Oh my God. Do you know, like, I think I spent all my money on bundles. That whole night I didn't sleep.
Yeah.
I read about advertising, Akina Ogilvy, Akina the fathers of advertising, what copywriting is, all that. I was like, oh shit, this is all I've wanted to do my entire life. And then so the next day I gave him a call and I'm like, yo, I have 1 month before I go back to school. Can I just come and vibe in your agency and just, actually you don't have to pay me, let me just come and
just
and
see what
sit around and see how it works. And then I go, then they told me, like, the first 2 weeks, we usually just bring in interns. The first 2 weeks we see whether it works or not, because they're also like just starting out. And I went, and by like the second or third day I was doing actual work. I remember posting like some Crips company, we took a photo of our room and put it on Instagram and wrote TBT. That was back in CG 2013.
Yeah.
When CG Throwback Thursday and Woman Crash Wednesday were a thing.
Oh, a thing, yeah.
And then that's it. So I realized, okay, this is it. Let me do this. So I went back to school, and then I figured out a part-time working thing. I used to go to class from asubuhi mpaka noon. I go to Jobo from 1 mpaka 6.
Yeah.
I come back in the evening, do my thesis mpaka like 9, sleep, repeat for all of my 4th year.
Yeah.
And then I finished. But at that point, I knew I'm doing this for sure. But I didn't tell my dad. So when I finished uni, my dad was hooking me up with jobs in CG, construction, CG, and I went home to Ministry of Public Works, talked to him. I told him I already have a job. He was so mad. So I lied to him. I told him, we are 8 months to graduation. I have this job that's paying me 30K. Me, I'm happy here. When I graduate, because at a when I go to ask for work, I can't get employed unless I have the actual papers, which was a lie. And so after the 8 months go by, I graduate. And then I just sit down with him and I tell him, give me 1 year in this job. Or if this thing doesn't work out, I'm happy to go back into
construction. Yeah.
I knew for sure I wasn't going back. Yeah. 1 year later, he was like, okay, Kijana, you're not doing badly. And then here we are. I think I'll be clocking 9 years in advertising in August.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you still enjoy doing it?
I really enjoy doing it. I don't want to be in it for long because it's also very stressful. It's also it's not the best industry to be in from a stress level perspective. Yeah. But doing my best. I think in my 30s, I'm going to focus on entrepreneurial work. And also seeing how I can go into the sustainability space. Yeah. And maybe build my creativity there. Okay. I'm not saying working with brands is boring, but it's gotten a bit too monotonous. Like you were asking how the industry can be improved. There's a very toxic culture within a lot of agencies. Just here in Nairobi, it's just office politics and all that. It's difficult for newer creatives to navigate it. It's also difficult for even guys who've been in the industry for long to just figure out what works, what's a red flag, how much is too much work, because a lot of guys are underpaid and severely overworked. Yeah. So figuring out that niche is gonna take a while. It's not something I wanna do passion projects from now on.
And a lot of gatekeeping as well.
There's a lot of gatekeeping as well. But it's changing. I mean, the guys who were there 10 years ago are not the same decision makers. Hopefully the new guys who get into these new offices will change 1 or 2 things, and the industry will grow for the newer guys.
Interesting. But then also construction is kind of a creative venture if you think about it.
Yeah, because the reason I fell in love with it, because I used to love sketching and drawing. But I wasn't the best at drawing, like fine art or whatever. But I'm obsessed with line work. Whether it's like geometry was like my favorite thing in primary school. So I think that's why I took an interest in architecture, because I love drawing random lines. If you see my notebook right now, it's just random lines and shapes and patterns and all that. Maybe that's what I'll get into as an art piece. I can sell online.
Yeah.
But yeah, the design thinking was always there. Design is the same across all mediums if you think about it. The principles and everything. Like, symmetry will always be symmetry.
Yeah.
Whether you're taking a photo, recording a video, designing a house, placing a graphic design piece on a billboard, whatever.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's all very interconnected. I don't regret that I spent 4 years in Campo. Kwanza the course was 5 years, but we decided to do it in 4 because we thought Sing Machopi. It was crazy.
Yeah. And you were also a photographer at some point.
At some point, yes. I bought my first camera when I think I was 20. And then I tried it out. And then the camera, I went to Diani with it, and then I didn't realize there's certain ways you need to take care of equipment.
Yeah.
So I think it got some sand into the lens area and also some moisture.
Yeah. So your humidity.
Yeah, so it just died out incrementally. I saved up for a second camera. I got it, but then before I could even unbox it, my friend was moving out of the country and she bought it for me.
Can see the Rhino, the one that we were seeing.
That's the early one.
Yeah. It's fascinating how this park is close to the airport, Wilson, and then it's in town. So all this wildlife, they are used to that sound of.
Then the guess.
And then also there's the SGR.
That's what they were calling the white elephants.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I really think about going back to photography, but I think it was just a hobby and a time and a niche. There was a time when guys used, and then I was surrounded by really dope creatives.
Yeah.
At the time we were just coming up. Instagram was like popping with like guys used to make time lapses. I feel like the way the visual world has flickered right now.
Yeah.
I should have kept it going. That's one of the things I actually really want to pick up.
But you can still do it again.
Yeah. I'd learned how to do ISO, shooting in RAW, edit. I had Lightroom on my computer.
I think for me, I still love photography, but just wildlife photography. Do you love scientific movies?
A lot.
Yeah. Have you watched Oppenheimer?
I've watched Oppenheimer on Friday.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm a big fan of Christopher Nolan.
Yes.
As a creative, as a person who puts things together.
Yeah.
Yesterday I was watching a YouTube series on the things we might have missed on Oppenheimer. You know, it happens every time. When I watch Tenet, Interstellar, Memento, the Batman movies maybe not, but his original piece of work and the nuances he puts inside, the small things. Like I didn't know even when you've watched it.
I've watched it.
When the opening scene, when he was looking at raindrops falling into the water, those ripple effects, he was thinking of them as a chain reaction and how they can destroy the world. Things like that.
I did not think about it like
the
that.
Apple was
when he poisoned his professor.
It was paying homage to the discovery of gravity and the whole physicist, because he has very small nuances inside,
small things
that were really crazy. The wormhole, even from the Apple itself, that there's a time they are saying worms in an apple or whatever, and then they're talking about wormholes and black holes. It really fascinates me. Like space science fascinates me. Today in the morning I read an article that the US has claimed the aliens, and they have unidentified bodies from
there's this guy who I think he worked for that program or something, and so he admitted that
he was being interviewed.
UFO, and the UFO there was
interterrestrial bodies.
Yes.
Inside.
But then he said he cannot substantiate it publicly.
Yes, they have to do like a commission.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think we are alone in this world?
I don't think we are alone.
Yeah. I usually like the statement that both of them are scary. If we are alone, then that's really scary.
It's very scary.
If you're not alone, it's less scary, but it's also scary.
But I think we are not alone, but it's boring. It's not like creatures that look like, you know, the what are they called? Those aliens that we see on movies
TV depicted.
You know, I think we have parallel universes. So we have like in this situation, but like you see how you currently do podcasting and you shifted. Maybe in that life you still did construction and that's what you're doing.
And I feel so different timelines. Or maybe there's a universe where rhinos are watching us.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're in a car driving around saying,
yeah.
As a male human.
Exactly, because if you think about it, we humans haven't really seen a lot. All the things that we've seen are things that are within our solar system.
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah, but I don't think we are alone. But if we are, as you said, it's very scary. And we might be alone.
Yeah.
And then one day just an asteroid hits us and we're all gone. And there's
the greatest thing is that no one will know it happened. Because if an asteroid hits us right now, maybe we'll hear from NASA that there's something coming.
Yeah.
And then they'll tell us, oh, it's gonna be here in 17 days.
And
no one's gonna survive. Yeah. So we're just gonna party.
Yeah.
And
then it backfires and then now we are broke.
Oh my god, yeah. Spent all your money.
Yeah. It's crazy to think that currently the way the wealth distribution is happening in the world, the range is getting wider and wider. Like the poor are becoming very poor.
Yes.
And the rich are becoming really rich.
Yes.
But then when that happens, if there's an asteroid, we'll all be the same. They can't fly anywhere. They can't go anywhere.
Yeah. And then, the thing is, I was reading this article on how, like, there are things that equalize billionaires to normal people.
Yeah.
Like, there's some things that money can't help you scale.
Yeah.
One of them, I never thought about it earlier on, but like phones. Like, me and Elon Musk probably use the same phone. Because it doesn't matter if you're a billionaire.
Yeah.
You're going to use the latest iPhone, and there's someone in Nairobi in a game park with the latest iPhone. That's it. Or like a laptop. You spec out your laptop to the max. There's a designer somewhere in New York who's also done the same.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. And even death.
Yeah, and there's that as well.
Yeah, you cannot, you will not prolong your.
Hey, when I
this route. Yeah.
Okay. You know this road so well. You know Jordan's Jutko.
Oh.
I would be so lost.
Well, this is how we came. So I want us to use a different route.
Ah, okay.
We might spot a lion or something.
Okay. Yeah, Oppenheimer. That was a good movie.
It was a really good movie. I love Christopher Nolan's movie.
Yeah.
Not all of them. There are some that I'm like,
which one? Which one?
Like Inception.
Inception is fire. Inception, Tenet, Interstellar, those three.
Even Tenet was okay.
Tenet I've watched it like 6 times. After Oppenheimer, I'm going back this week. Just to watch it now again with new insights.
Yeah.
Because even remember like the quote itself, like, and now I become death.
And he said it when he was having sex with that chick.
Yeah, because he was reading from that book that was referenced earlier.
Yeah.
So I was looking at those, and then the biggest thing, that was my second best part of the movie. Stack pen spoilers in case anyone hasn't watched, but it was saying how like it was the whole grotesque feeling he had after he designed the atomic bomb, and he knew my research has led me to a place where this will end the world someday. Because if right now, if everyone releases their nukes,
that's it.
We're gone.
Not even everyone, just one person. If Russia decides to attack, that's it. And then I watched some of his old interviews that he actually did. They're on YouTube, and Killian did a really good job. It feels like it's him, man. That guy can act.
Hey, he's dope.
Yeah, even it's like
blinders, everything.
Yeah, he's really good. Your favorite Christopher Nolan movies? Mine is Interstellar.
Interstellar as well.
Yeah.
Interstellar was mind-bending. And then when you read the science behind how he shoots his movies and how he's anti-CGI, it just makes everything better. But I'll say this, most people didn't really rate Tenet, but I did. But
it was very confusing.
Only after I watched it 3 times and I read a lot of science behind it. So I was like, okay, now this makes sense. This makes sense. I didn't even know what was the word entropy was. I didn't even know all those things.
Yeah.
And you see, even with Oppenheimer, which might end up being like one of my favorite movies from him, when that quote for "now I become death, consumer of worlds," what was it? Now I become death,
destroyer of all worlds.
Destroyer of all worlds. Yeah. He was saying how himself. Oh, I've just said this. Yeah, when Oppenheimer was just feeling like the moment like that bomb landed like this, and you remember that scene. That scene, Yanni, was crazy. Even when they were testing. Remember the testing when there was a...
Yes.
And then the sound was delayed. That was crazy.
And then and knowing that he did not use CGI.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
I can only imagine.
And then I also love how he didn't really have any Japanese people in the movie.
Yeah, I think that was a good call.
Yeah, because that would have been a shit
messed up. I like that they didn't actually show the blast happening.
Yeah.
I read about him as well. I hear he doesn't have a smartphone, he doesn't have an email.
Yeah. And he hands out his script physically.
Yeah.
Like if and then he calls actors. He doesn't even He just tells you, do you want to do this part? Is this part?
Yeah.
Do you want to do it, yes or no?
Yeah.
Type of thing. Yes.
This-
Then he flies all the way to where you are.
Mhm.
He gives you the script,
Mhm.
and then he goes back. So you
Oh, wow.
read, or sometimes you go to his house, you
Yeah.
read it.
That's crazy. But that's how you know he's a genius, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says the reason why it's not even because he doesn't like technology. It's because it's a distraction. So when because he writes most of his movies with his brother.
Mhm.
When they are writing, he doesn't want anything like his phone beeping or anything happening.
Yeah.
He just wants to just
Oh.
yeah. And I think
Mhm.
the secret of Christopher Nolan is the reason why he makes his movies. He puts so many layers in the
Mhm.
movies
Mhm.
is because you can go and rewatch it.
Oh yeah.
If he makes a movie just kawaida, like
Yeah.
I'm not saying Mission Impossible is kawaida, but
Mhm.
like the story is like there's a beginning, a middle point, and an end.
Yeah.
You just see it once and like, I understood the movie, and the movie
Makes
was really
sense.
good.
Because even most of the movies, like I remember Memento Up to Date.
Yeah.
I've never really. I've read everything. I've watched it like a couple of times. I've never really gotten to understand what happens in that movie.
I watched it once, and I was like, you know what, I'm done.
Yes.
And then I watched Prestige. Prestige was easier.
Yeah. Prestige, I think I watched it twice, then I got it.
And then Batman. The three of them are
Oh,
really nice.
they're amazing.
Yeah.
These are at least they're straightforward movies.
Yeah.
Which one's your favorite? Mine is Dark Knight Rises.
I want to say
Bane.
Dark Knight Rises because of Bane, but also Joker in The Dark Knight was really
Oh,
good.
okay, yeah. But Bane is my favorite villain
Ever.
in that universe.
He was very. I honestly think they built Thanos over to Bane because the way Thanos thinks is pretty much the way Bane thinks,
Yeah.
but Bane is just a normal human
It's like
being.
a villain who's pushing for justice that destroys.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly, and
Get
he
you.
knows that. Yeah, it will hurt people, but it's for the betterment of the people that will remain.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bane is okay, fine. Dark Knight Rises, yes, but then the Joker in the Dark Knight was
Joker
really
was-
good.
yeah.
Remember when he had bombs, grenades in his pocket, and
Mhm.
then he pulled, and then he was like, "Let's not blow this out of proportion."
Let's not blow this out of proportion.
Have you ever thought about working for a movie?
Actually, I have a couple of scripts I'm writing.
Nice.
They're some for TV, some for stand-up,
Yeah.
some for... I have this film I think I've told everyone about. It's called Captain Ali. That I have it written down. I've shared it with a couple of people. I've talked to some of the directors we've worked with on TV commercials, and then just getting their opinion. Chaxi himself, because he's a producer. I still haven't gotten it right. I've been doing it for 3 years. I'm trying to really figure out that story to the best of their ability. I've been submitting scripts for these Netflix things, when they have like competitions and stuff. Unfortunately, haven't been called back for any of them. But this is it's just the nature of the work. But I always I really want to write and do like a film. I don't care whether it's a feature film, a short film, like a proper done film. Like there's a story I have in my mind and it stems from the first time I ever took a dhow cruise in Kilifi. And then I had a panic attack before we got into that because I really fear the ocean. So my friend Chris walked me back to the land. I sat on the beach, ordered a bottle of wine, and just waited for them to do the tour, whatever. So as they were waiting there, I started writing that script on my phone. I got back to Nairobi, wrote it. I'd say mostly in full. But I want to do film.
So you've already completed the script?
It's not complete. It's not a script per se because it doesn't have a lot of dialogue yet. I have like the screenplay skeleton.
Yes.
Yeah, we open to this and this happens and that happens. Yeah, these two of them. I have like a dystopian type film. About the number 0. That's crazy. I'll tell you about it off camera. And then now that Captain Ali, I forget about them. Like even this year, I've touched the script once. Because I'm always like, I get into this moment. I'm like, let me go relook and reward this thing. But it's something I really want to do.
You should pursue it. I feel like we need a lot of Kenyan films out there. There's a few with the same actors, same people, same storylines type of thing, but we need more creative, thought-provoking films.
Yes.
And when I think of films, I think from the technical point of view, not creating the story per se, but telling it. So being a director or being a videographer, being the camera guy, but you think from a script point of view,
Okay.
Yeah, you think from...
Oh, I think from a story point of view. And I wouldn't say scripting mostly. Because like for me, dialogue is a big thing in movies. But I think about the story. I never even think about how the shot looks like or what the technical aspect would look like, mostly at the beginning. But I'm like, I think, like, for example, you, like, if you're going to shoot a movie, like, and I have an idea right now, I think it's two guys, they're in a car in the middle of a national park, and then the cast teams, and then like you're thinking about that scenario. They get out to check. When they get out, the doors automatically lock, the windows go up.
Yeah.
Alafu they start getting worried, they get on top of the camera. I'll think of it that way. Now you think of what if like it's an aerial shot coming in, seeing this car doing a road trip, whatever.
Yeah. So even when I'm watching movies, I always correct. I always try not after makosa, especially if the story is not that engaging. Not after makosa.
And I stopped. I was telling a friend of mine called Frank, who's also in the creative scene, and sometimes when I tell him to watch a Kenyan production, I'm like, hey, just chuck your creative heart and put it aside.
Yes.
Just look at and see what these guys are trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Because one of the best things I've watched from this country was Pepeta. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't watched it, but I've heard good stories about it.
Just go watch one episode.
Yeah. It's on Showmax.
It's on Showmax, yeah. Just watch one episode. I won't even tell you to watch the rest.
Okay.
I'm saying if that one didn't bumper you, then it's not for you. Don't even try. It's not a drug. It's not it doesn't drag. It's those things where you're like episode next. Yeah. So me, I watched it when it was dropping weekly. And I used to wait for, was it Wednesdays? Immediately too.
I'll go watch it. I'll watch it this weekend.
Yeah.
And do you have any TV shows that currently you're watching that you can talk about?
I'm watching how many TV shows? Okay. Currently,
what's your big thing right now?
Right now, I wouldn't say right now, because right now I'm rewatching a lot of stuff.
Okay.
I'm rewatching Prison Break.
Nice.
I'm rewatching Breaking Bad, and I'm rewatching Sons of Anarchy. But
those three shows, I've watched all those three shows.
Yeah. The two things I've watched recently this year that really intrigued me. One is called The Patient.
The what?
The Patient.
The Patient.
Yeah, it's this guy from The Office, and I keep forgetting his name.
Steve Carell.
Steve Carell. He's a therapist, and he gets this guy who comes and tells him his problems for 3 sessions or 4, and then one day he wakes up in this guy's basement, and he's chained to the floor.
Yeah.
And there's a therapist chair and everything, and this guy tells him, I've been going around looking for a therapist who would understand me. You're not leaving this basement until you fix me. And there's food, there's a toilet, and he's chained to the floor.
Yeah.
So this guy reveals that he's a serial killer, and he kills every night.
Oh shit.
So they talk during the day, and then when Steve Carell passes out, this guy he wakes up to him burying another body in the back. Alafu he has to sit down with a notebook.
Yeah.
How do you feel right now? It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's twisted as well.
It's on Amazon.
I don't remember what network it has. Let me watch on some illegal sites.
Okay.
And then the other one that I watched and really caught my eye was, I'm trying to remember the name. What's Poker Face? It's called Poker Face.
Okay.
It's this babe who can tell whether you're lying or not just by how you speak.
Yeah.
And she uses it to solve murders. So she's a vagabond who just travels across states. In her car, she's fired from her job at the casino.
Yeah.
Because she figured out that the son of the casino owner murdered someone who was really close to her.
Yeah.
So she was fired, and then now she's on the run.
Yeah.
And every city she goes to, she gets a job somewhere like at a cafe or something, and someone is murdered in that town. And then the police usually don't have the story or everything. So she gets in the middle of everything, and she knows who the murderer is in the first few minutes of every episode. Yeah. Just by how they give their statements. And then now she has to make the evidence work. And every episode she solves the murder. It's crazy.
I'll watch it. I did rewatch Breaking Bad last year.
Yeah.
Prison Break as well last year. Sons of Anarchy not yet. I still remember the plot. Right now, there's this show. My comfort show is Suits.
Oh.
So
we have so much in common, bro. Yes, I put random episode like season 4, episode 9.
Yeah, just randomly, and then and for some reason it's just it's that show. I never get bored with it. Another comfort show is Big Bang Theory.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Those sitcom status. We got Big Bang Theory, 2.5 Men.
Yeah.
And what else? I can't. But How I Met Your Mother is also big.
Yes, but then they removed it from Netflix. So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But the new shows that I'm watching, I'm watching new movies, not new TV shows.
Got you.
And with the new movies, maybe it's in the cinema. If I'm not watching in the cinema, I'm just watching Suits or something else. And maybe Young Sheldon.
Yeah. Okay. Even I've been finding myself. Me with a new show, I usually commit. like if I like something, I'll probably not even go out over the weekend just so I can watch it like in full. Like I want to go rewatch Peaky Blinders.
Yes.
Because I caught the first season when it was new, and then I lost interest. Then now I think then season 6 it's finalized, and it has really nice reviews. So I'm like, I have to go.
You have to rewatch it. I also want to rewatch it because I feel like I missed so much of its dialogue.
Yeah.
I liked it, but if you just miss Kidogo, there's small things you. But yeah, I also rewatch it. Also because I have this thing. If I like an actor, I might go back and rewatch his stuff. So the way Killian did Oppenheimer,
yes,
I'm like, I need to go and rewatch.
Question for you, because I've been watching your content from back in the day. You scuba dive as well?
Yes.
How's that like?
It's.
Is it true that for you to get a license you have to tread water for 30 minutes?
Not essentially, but the reason why they do that is because they want you to be as comfortable as possible.
Oh,
because you're entering a new world. It's like going to space.
On your own, yeah, true.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been in situations where, first of all, you can't scuba dive alone. You have to have at least somebody, because then it makes sense, because
anything
down
can happen.
there, anything can happen.
Yeah.
There's a time I got this experience where I was scuba diving. It started raining.
Oh.
And then it got dark.
Oh.
So now visibility down there was weird, and because it's raining, the water is moving a lot.
Oh,
so
the current, how is the current to Kochini?
The current, it's just sumboing up a Jew, but down it's normal. But you can just tell there's a difference. The thing that scuba diving has taught me is stay calm.
Remaining calm,
yeah, and then think about what the situation that you're in calmly. Don't panic, don't do anything rash.
Yeah.
And it helps with even right now, if something happens, I always
in any situation, more or less.
Like, okay, let's do this. But it's a very interesting hobby that I have. I haven't done it this year. I'm going to do it. It's a whole different world. You've seen colors that you've never seen, honestly.
At
like
the
from
bottom
the coral,
of the ocean,
it's usually an hour. So that hour is not speaking.
Oh,
because you can't speak about it, it's silent. You have to mind the pressure, the water pressure, so you have to keep readjusting your ears.
Oh wow.
So by blowing your nose or adjusting your jaw.
By the time you come back on land, does it feel different? Like, does gravity feel different? What? Air pressure?
No, what feels different is now people can talk.
Oh, like you were just in zero silence.
Yeah.
And I imagine it's zero kabisa.
Completely zero.
There's no even water doing.
No. Especially if you're going deep, like let's say 20 meters down.
Whoa.
It's very silent. And then also you've seen creatures, and then you felt what. And then if you do it like you're there for 1 hour.
Yeah.
The first 5 minutes are usually the scary ones. Because
you're adjusting.
Yes, and then eventually you get this is an eland. It's the biggest antelope.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It looks like a predator. It can charge at someone.
Yeah.
Even the horns are straight pointed, so if it bends the head, it can stab you.
Yeah.
Are they usually aggressive?
No, they're not.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a good hobby to have.
Okay.
Risky but good.
I'm looking for like a good hobby. I want to sign up for this. If I wasn't moving, because I'm moving houses, so how moving drains you financially. I did sign up for some golf thingy.
Yeah.
Because I really have an interest in it, but I've been telling myself it's an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
And then I've seen my friends get into it, and they're like, it's only expensive at the beginning when you're buying gear.
Yeah.
It's like photography.
Yeah. And golf, most people are in it because of networking. It's not really about the sport per se. So it's a good hobby to have.
I think because where I'm moving to, I'll be like 5 or 10 minutes away from a golf club. So I've said like I called them up, I got the rates for like it's an 8-week training session.
Yeah.
And then I'll start thinking about gear later on.
By the way, because you're moving, do you want to talk about why you're moving?
Yeah. Because my landlord kicked me out.
Why
evicted?
Why were you evicted?
So, so the management at our place is really weird. I think our landlord is in the States. I think has part of a family member that manages the property, and also has an agency that manages the property as well.
Okay.
And they usually there's conflict a lot, because like as you're doing business, and then this is our family business.
Okay.
So things are usually not very straightforward when it comes to like something happens, who's gonna repair, who do I call? You call this person, they tell you call the other guy. You call the other guy, they tell you call the agency.
But when it comes to paying rent,
when it comes to paying rent, this is a paid bill. Chelewa with 5 days, they're already calling and they send people to the house. Yeah, so anyway, there was an accident that happened in our apartment building. I live on the topmost floor and then the tanks are just above. So one of the tanks leaked like a lot of water. And there are usually 2 units up. So me and my neighbor, our houses were flooded. And at this time, where was I? I think in Kavali, drinking on a Friday night.
Yeah.
So me, I'm being called by the watcher. I'm being like, hey, ukunikubaye bukuja. I'm like, I can't leave where I am. It's like midnight. So I called my cleaning lady. And I tell her, let me call you a cab. You go and check out the Nasikia Nikubaya. She goes, she sends me videos of the house flooded. There was like 2 inches of water in the whole house. Yeah, so they do their best to clean it. Alafu now they have to find a way to drain it because you can't drain it via the stairs because it will go all the way down.
Yes.
So they drained it in every like toilet, every sink, every whatever. And then it was done. So after that, my neighbor's house was completely messed up, like sockets, nini, things. Me, I just lost what do you call it? My carpet because it was soaked. So I just lost it. Then I called the management again. It was a big problem. I wrote an email. They didn't respond, didn't do anything. So I got a bit mad and I sent a very strongly worded email. And then I think it ruffled some feathers. Yeah, so we started talking with these guys. Then I really pressured them to fix the house and the unit, which they did, but very reluctantly over a period of like a month.
Yeah.
So I told them, I'm not going to pay rent until you guys fix this house, which I did. So for the month of June, I didn't pay rent.
Yeah.
So end of June, when they fixed the house, it wasn't like 100% fixed. I'd say like 70. So I was still calling them and be like, okay, now the walls are messed up because of the leak. You need to come paint it. They're like, nah, you paint it. So
wait, they're making you paint the house. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, this leak came from above. The walls are scraping. There's mold
to do
everywhere.
With you. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so when I paid July rent like this, I just saw an email pop.
They waited for you to pay rent.
5th chap, the email came on 6th. Yeah, you're required to vacate the premise by 31st July. So I called the guy and told him, let me speak to your manager. I became a Karen.
Yeah.
So he puts me through to their supervisor. And then I offered my concerns, but he was so nonchalant about it. So I was like, maybe it's time. But I've lived there for 5 years. I think it's time I move on to something else.
Yeah.
But I found a beautiful house, so I'm excited about it. I'm moving on Saturday. Do you ever raise your voice at someone?
No. I will be confrontational if I have to be.
Yeah.
But if not, but I am with people that I are friends or people that I am with every day or family. Because then that is someone that it's worth fighting for if we're having an argument. But like random people.
Me, I think I can remember like all the times I've raised my voice in my adult life.
Yeah.
There are very few because I also don't like confrontation, but yes, spendangi kubeba ufala. So I might shout, like the last I shouted at these guys when I was moving out on the phone because they were saying things like, Kwani, the only person in that house with a problem. I'm like, yeah. If I'm not, I'm the one who's calling about it. And we manage so many houses. We have houses in Lavington, we have houses in Scuba. So you're not at your only client. I'm like, what does this have to do with
anything? Yeah.
So I asked this guy, are you? So I think I used an F-bomb or something.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you can't talk to me like that. We are not age mates. I'm a father of 2. And then I adding kidogo spice too. So I told him it's very unfortunate that you are actually raising children. Hey, this guy got pissed.
It's funny because I've done the same.
Yeah, so like I don't raise my voice, but I know how to use words.
Yeah.
But with cops, especially because cops harass me a lot.
Yeah.
I have a very loud car. I'm not the most CG presentable person.
Because
corporate
of like
because if you find me in my elements on a weekend.
Yeah.
So they always just talk to me the way they want to talk to me. So sometimes I raise my voice. But like you have to really push my buttons. Because I really hate confrontation. Even in personal relationships with friends, nanini. People just screw me over and I'm like, you know what, let's do this.
And then you just let it go,
like,
and then you...
That was not cool.
Yeah.
And I don't want to address this. If you don't see what you did wrong, that's on you.
But I have come to realize currently there's a very big gap when it comes to how the laws are implemented in Kenya. So for example, as you said, I'm sure the real estate law, they are not allowed to evict you.
Yeah.
Because of something they have done.
Actually, I got some lawyers in my DMs telling me like this is wrong. They're supposed to give you a 6 months notice. You can sue them. You can sue them.
Yeah.
Because I've had a few legal battles in this Nairobi. So I have a friend of mine who like usually I consult with matters like this.
Yeah.
So he told me you can do it, like you can confront and push back and everything, but it won't be worth it because one, you're gonna spend money on me.
Yeah.
Two, they have the upper hand of frustrating you because they can shut down your water, your electricity and say maji hatuna maji. No. It's not a safe space to be where like your caretaker, your property manager, and your property is there. I have a car downstairs.
Yeah.
You never know what could happen. So he just told me just move.
Yeah. I mean, it's good advice, but then that should not be the solution because you know that he's already won your landlord or caretaker, whoever.
Yeah.
And in certain situations, it gets more serious. For example, in labor laws, right? Maybe you're working for person A, and then because you signed a contract that says you can do anything and everything, now they retrench and then they give you kazi ya watu wengine wawili. And then they start, and then you have that thing of, hey, maybe I should just resign. We have a really big gap with how laws are needed.
And I know especially labor laws have messed people up proper, but the guys who are patient enough and have the facilities to chase after justice usually get it.
Yeah, that's the thing. But by the time you get there,
you really need to be liquid, and you really need to have time
and patience.
Because there's a story online about some retrenchment thing recently. And most people don't read their contracts. And every contract I've signed in my life, I've sent it to someone to go through it. Alafu niambie this clause and this clause you might want to rethink. And I'm just like, okay, so I'll look at it differently. But it's fun. I think even the conversation about unionizing and making it like very clear on how creative labor laws need to be upheld in certain situations. I think it's really prudent that your conversation ianze to flow. Because very soon it will get out of hand, and the government is not really in a position to help with anything so far.
Thank you so much for doing this.
This was fun. Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate it. I think it's the best morning I've had in a very long time.
I'm glad.
Sasa ndio ningekuwa nakalia desk yangu after having 2 eggs. Nikiangalia tu Zoom calls ikilia tu.